because it was also the Handbuilt motorcycle show. So yeah, maybe there's something you'll see that you like here. And also whet the old appetite before the Bike Shed show, which is in about a month's time, I think, in London. We'll be there making a pod episode, so it'd be great to see anybody else that's going to make it down. Do say hi if you see us. But yeah, for now, let's have a look at some of the best bikes from the Handbuilt show from the gallery on their website. Now, there were 150 custom bikes there, and the event was sponsored by BMW, and it's been going for 10 years now, so pretty impressive. There's no explanation, mate, on any of these pictures of the bikes, so no build list, no name and model of the bike that is built upon. Some of them have the builder's name, but that's about it. I suppose that's a good reason to still go to the show and get the full lowdown on them. But I picked out some of my favourites, and I want to get your thoughts on them. Now, number one, this is from Revival Cycles, who I think actually set up the show. Clearly some kind of air-cooled Harley situation. But is that not a brilliant, clean-looking, tracker-inspired, simple custom Harley? I think that's absolutely beautiful, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I really do. A sort of love. I feel like maybe you could put something else in there, that gap under the seat, because it sort of shows that you've taken literally everything out. I'm assuming this has got like an M unit in it to make sure that, and where the hell they're hiding the battery, I have no idea. But yeah, it actually looks relatively comfortable as well, even though it's quite a sort of slim, low-profile seat.
Amazing wheels as well. The only downside I can see, because I agree, it looks possibly more comfortable than an actual stock Sportster, but the downside potentially is that it looks like the peanut tank has become a pine nut tank. It's tiny. Looks about 5 litres. And with that engine, you'll probably be lucky to get down the road. Next up, number 2. There's a bit of required culinary knowledge to hang with this conversation. But number 2, look at this. It's a Yamaha, I guess the Yamaha equivalent of like a Honda Cub. And they've human centipeded it together to make a tandem Yamaha for 2. It's got 2 engines as well. How does that work? Do they both drive the rear wheel?
They do look like they're both linked. It doesn't look... Well, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to tell if you can control that.
Does that mean double the power?
Clearly, mate. But then it's also double the weight, isn't it? So
and it's not double the weight.
Out, doesn't it?
Surely not, because you've got 2 wheels instead of 4.
It's close, though. You've got 2 bodies on there as well. All right, it's not quite exactly 2x the weight of this, because it's missing 2 wheels. You're right.
It also says Yamaha for 2, and it's got a solo seat on the front, but there is a twin seat on the rear, so it should strictly, just a nitpick, be called Yamaha for 2 or 3. Or you could ride it
It's
solo.
also got the pillion pegs as well.
Yes, perfect. Honestly, that would be fantastic. You and I going about our... if we went to the Bike Shed, for example, going about our podcast business, this would be my choice of company bike if we decide to do that. Number 3 is another Harley. I didn't just pick Harleys, but core blimey, we had to stick this one in here. Again, it looks like quite an old engine, but wrapped up in this sort of race-faring Cafe Racer style stretch tank, a big, long gold chain, and then I think that must be a Buell front wheel with that massive disc. What do they call those?
Yeah.
What do you call that when it's mounted to the outer part of the rim? I'm going to call it a peripheral disc because it's mounted to the periphery.
Yeah.
Someone let us know in the comments. But man, that is an absolute beaut, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. It's got sort of the lines and shape of Deluxe. Careful how you pronounce his company's name. Made a Ducati Scrambler in red, and it's got kind of those sorts of vibes to me. I think he might have done more than one, actually. But yeah, it's very, very clean. I would say Harley Davidsons in general, however you feel about them, I don't think you can question how good they customize and how well you can get them to look. They're really easy to make them look a little bit extra, a little bit
How
special.
easy? Are we talking you think you could possibly knot one of these together?
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
All right, moving on to number 4, and something that will probably tickle your Ducati penchant. Is that the right word? Do you have a penchant for Ducati?
I've got a penchant for Italian. Yeah.
I don't know how much has necessarily changed on this. It looks like Supersport, doesn't it? Like a 750 or 900 Supersport. But the paint job is fantastic. I think that's probably inspired by some of the Ducatis before it with that teal on the frame.
Is it like a Paul Smart? Is there a Paul Smart colour that's
I think that's right,
similar to that one?
I just pulled it out because I thought it looked brilliant.
Yeah, for those not looking at it, it's silver with a kind of teal blue. Is that teal, would you say?
I think so. Or turquoise.
Greeny blue. Turquoise, yeah, let's go with that. It's really, really nice. I mean, it looks fairly close to how they sort of would have been anyway with the full fairing, because like we said, right, if it's a certain age, you don't want to do too much to it. You could whip all of that off and make it some Cafe Racer, but I think you would be missing out. You really want to show off all of this.
I think what they've done here is like lots of little subtle mods. So smoked windscreen, clear lenses. I assume this is not a standard paint job. Little bar end mirrors, the color matched dry clutch. It looks like aftermarket rear sets. That's the only thing. The pegs are blooming high on this bike, but still very, very cool. Should we move on to number 5?
Yeah.
Look at this, mate. I think it was a few episodes back where we looked at a Harley Pan America that had been customized into this really aggressive, almost like enduro bike, and they'd fitted a Honda CRF front end and that sort of thing. This is taking the Pan America in a completely different direction. It's been converted into kind of like a street fighter race bike.
Supermoto almost. There's a little bit of that element to it.
Because it looks like it's quite tall, but then you've got that flat number board on the front, which makes it look a bit flat track. I don't know.
It looks like it's on its nose as well, a little bit though, right? And it also looks a little bit like the front wheel's smaller than the rear, or maybe that's just the tyre. They probably are 17s, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, it's got that Indian FTR, like the newer versions of it, where it's 1717 as opposed to the flat track one. It's got that kind of look to it. It's also got what looks like a crotch pulverizer. That's great. I love to see that.
Is it not? I love it when it looks cushioned.
Yeah, I guess. It's also really, really like straight. That's a 90-degree angle straight into your plums.
That is going to depend massively on the density of the foam inside, basically.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker for me. I'm going to say, if I get on there and I don't feel kind of memory foam-esque, then I'm walking away.
How long does that memory foam sort of remember the shape? Because that would be quite amazing to get off the bike and see what it... Just two tiny little...
No, we've already discussed Monster Chopper.
A great paint job on this one as well.
Yeah.
It's got to be said. I think that's celebrating 120 years of Harley. Is that this year? When was the Harley 120th anniversary? Was that last year? That was last year, wasn't it?
I think, yeah, a little
Yeah. 2023. It's a bit out of date, but at least they've got it down to the show. Worth showing off, definitely. Number 6. Whoa, look at this, man. Cafe Racer. It's a Jigsaw. Again, very clean, simple. Get as much off the bike as you can. Fluo windscreen. What do you think of that? Fan or not a fan?
Yeah, it's a choice, isn't it?
Yes, it is a choice, but is it a good one?
I mean, it goes with the colours they've gone for. It isn't anything I would choose for myself ever, but yeah, no, it goes with the design.
What I really like about this bike is the kind of aggressive forward angle on it as well, and they've pretty much matched that fairing perfectly with the sort of angle from the seat unit and stuff like that. Sometimes you see custom builds, especially on bikes of this era, where the tank shape is quite sculpted, and then to do the cafe thing, it's tough to get it all to hang together, I think. But this one nails it. Although I suppose it's probably not quite as aggressive in that downward slant once it's off that paddock stand. That's a good trick to make your bike look a bit more sporty.
Yeah.
Number 7, I think this is a Kawasaki, isn't it? Yeah, KZ615 TT. Again, not too much going on here, but that is absolutely stunning.
It's different. I like the sort of the variety you've gone with your favourite bikes or top picks from this
There's
one.
no point in picking all the same bike, is there? You've got to go for...
Well, no, exactly. And also impressive the variety they've actually got. They've got quite a good span there. There isn't just like one theme.
Yes.
Yeah, and all sorts of different eras as well. Really, I love like a pure red colour like that. There is something nice about it. It's kind of old school, and I love that. It's like a cherry red that you can, almost like a Ferrari red actually on that. You can really delight in polishing it up, I always find.
Very nice, especially with the little gold and black accents. And I love that they've blacked out the rims and the hardware around the headlight and the engine. And yeah, that really makes the red pop. Little ducktail on the back, signature Kawasaki feature of that era. I think that's really, really nice. Last one, It's just a standard
Yeah, what
BMW R1219.
I was going to ask you, what's different about it, mate?
Nothing. This was in the Builders Gallery on the Handbuilt Motorcycle Show website. And I guess that is what you get if you sponsor the show, BMW Motorrad, is you can just put your standard bike in the Builders Gallery and get a bit of coverage.
Just hope that
for
no
it.
one notices or what? Or just be like, and look, we made one as well. Yeah.
I think there were a few other BMWs amongst the 150 bikes, and maybe they did commission them. I know that they put a lot of effort in for the Bike Shed show in London every year, and there are some interesting builds that they've somehow, been involved with. So I'm not completely slagging them off for their involvement here, but they did have this and the normal R12. That's the one we were reviewing as well the other week. Probably not the exact bike. But it is nice looking. I'll give them that. The red frame gives it a bit
As
of a
far
lift.
as like a stock bike goes, it looks like it's been customized. It's only when you see them parked up together and you're like, oh, they are all the same. So it's not. It looks like, anyone who doesn't know about bikes would think maybe that you tweaked it or maybe it was your own little Cafe Racer custom job. So it does the job.
Yeah, they may do. Look, I've only given you 8 of the 150 there, but they're my personal highlights. You can ride one away, or you could take the screw bike or the monster chopper. Sorry, I can't say that without laughing now. Does one of these 8 trump the monster chopper?
The monster chopper is if that was in this show, first of all, it'd take up the spot of at least 3 of these bikes.
Surprise.
Maybe not the Yamaha bike made for 2. But there's actually one I'd like to throw into the mix that I don't think you picked up on. And the reason I like it is it's a Ducati 996. I'll give you time to sort of scan through. It's green. It is the model they used in the Matrix. And it's also the colour scheme. They went with this sort of standard green. And I think that one looks real nice as well. They've got a kind of polished tank on it. And then the rest of the fairing is original green. And then they've got a nice tan seat as well. I think it just all works really well together. And the gold obviously sets off the green quite nicely. So I'd like to get your opinion on that one. What do you reckon of that one?
It is nice. And I know that you've got a penchant for Ducatis, as we just established. So yeah, I quite like it. But I think for that, a 916 or a 996 or a 998, I'd probably go stock. Because it's not the actual Matrix one as well.
No, I don't think that's the actual one. Yeah, that's not the one they used in the movie or anything. I just, whenever I see that pop up, I don't know, from that whole catalogue, and there was a lot of them, and I scanned through, that was the one that, for whatever reason, sort of drew me.